Hello and welcome to another macro video. This time I've been revamping my comment handling system, and so we're going to have a look at the new version. So the idea is that we want to ask the author various questions, and so we put in comments in the text in comment bubbles, and then we scoop those out into a big list and give them to the author. So let's have a look at some of the comments I've got in here. Okay, so I've got some comments there and you can see where they apply to. So the first macro we're going to look at is the comment copier. We're doing it backwards because you add the comments and then you copy them out. But anyway, let's have a look at the copying out system. So we run the macro, which is comment copier. There, run that. It generates two files. The first one here is a list of all the comments. So that's the comment, there's the next comment, and so on. And following each one, we've got a little line where the author can type in some sort of answer to the comment, and we've got them all numbered so that helps in sort of referencing where they are. So let's put that out of the way. But it also generates this file, which is what I've called the context. So this is the context for chapter 3, whatever. And so what it's done is produced a list of any paragraph which includes a comment, at least one comment, and so the author can then look at that and look at the context around the comment, and optionally it puts in here the page number and the line number where this paragraph starts. So this list then will help the author. Right, so let's get rid of that, and we might as well get rid of the other list, and let's just use this file here for our example of actually adding the comments. So we're going to use comment add menu, and obviously this is something you do quite often, and so I've got it on a keystroke, as you'll see. And what we have done is to create a list of comments, and we put these into the switch list. Now if you're a user of multi-switch, you will recognize this format where you've got a word and its alternate. So for example, if you type UN, then you run multi-switch, it goes off to that list and finds UN and replaces it with the word unfortunately. So it does all sorts of things. It's worth looking up multi-switch. Any editor, I would say, can really benefit by using multi-switch. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I'm using this same file because for me this file is always open. It's the first thing I open in the morning when I switch Word on. So somewhere in that file there is a list of the different comments. So this is my list of the various comments that I might want to make, and they form into a menu. So when I click on, well, rather when I select a piece of text and I decide I want to make a comment about that, I run the comment add menu macro, and it generates this list of the different options that I've got for the kind of comment I might make, and it's made up, as you see the first one there, L, says not in the references list, and so actually what that's doing is it's picking up this not in the references list at the end. And the second one is, well, look at the third one, that's A for acronym. So there's the A, let's get rid of that for a second. You've got A for acronym there, so there's the text of that comment, and acronym is just the bit that's put onto the menu. So for example, if I have, let's just move that out of the way a bit so it's not so intrusive. So if I find that Jones 14 is not on the references list, then I have selected it, and then I press L for not in the references list. So what I get there is the comment Jones 2014 is not in the references list. So it's pulled out the bit I selected, but it's also made the text that I selected yellow, because that's this yellow here. So if this second one, the LL, which I'll show you in a second, if I don't have yellow on there, so if I now try this, I want to demonstrate the second one. If I select that one and run the macro and then do LL, what letters and you use for these options is entirely up to you. Obviously, for speed, you would tend to use a single letter or a double letter. Okay, so this one has again selected brown, and we've got brown is not on the list, but we've also got the fact that if you look, the cursor is now but something is. So I could type in but 2010 is. In other words, we think the author's got the date wrong. Now if you look at the menu from which it came, then there's those chevrons, the greater than less than symbols. That's used to say type the quoted text Brown 2009, type that in at that point, and then is not in the references list, brackets but, and then these two back-to-back square brackets are what I've used as the way of indicating that's where you want the cursor to end up when you've done the thing. So you do select some text, you run the macro, you say you want LL, and there's the cursor sitting in that point there, but such and such is. So let's just get rid of that one. Now you can actually, if you make you just have to select the space and the brackets. If you give that some kind of attribute like bold, then when you run it this time, then and you type there, then what you've typed comes out in bold. So that's that's making the if you just make the square brackets bold, it won't work because the square brackets get deleted. So when you type from the cursor, nothing happens. So in other words, you have to have the space beforehand also bold. You can see at the top here it's showing that space is bold. Or you could have it as a different text highlight color or whatever. Okay, so let's try the next one. I can't remember why A for acronym was of significance, but I'm sure it was. A for acronym. So it yeah, no, I don't think there's anything terribly exciting in that one. Okay, how about C? Was C of some interest? So if I have a C option. Okay, so what I've got now is what it's showing you there. This is the C option here, and it's actually used the same formatting. The word text there is in bold, and somewhere is in bold, and delete is in italic. So it's showing you that it's taking across the formatting from the menu. And if we try the next one, S, well, one thing I'll show you there, if I don't select anything and then I run the macro and do an S, then it selects the whole of that sentence. So if nothing is selected, it assumes you mean select the whole sentence. And another point to show here is that the S there wasn't highlighted in the bracketed S. It had it was underlined, so that's you can just use underline instead. and the D there lower down, that's in a font color. So if we do let's put a D on here. So if I do that and do a D, then it shows that the bit which was selected comes out in a blue font there, and there's just the word ditto there. I'm distracting myself, but never mind. If I do look at the next one, 0 is nout. So if I mark that bit and do a 0, then it doesn't quote anything, it doesn't do anything. It's just a quick way of opening a comment box so that I can put any old bit of text in there I want to. Right, where were we? Right, so when we did the previous one, okay, that's here. What we got, if you look at the line that it comes from, you'll notice that the chevrons are, in this case, they are in blue text, and if you look at the text, that it's the quotation in the comment bubble, it's in blue, and this one is a second quotation of the same bit of text, and that one is in red. And you can also make them bold and so on. If I do one now, you'll notice there's two S's. That's just to show you that it will only do the first of the S of any given option. So if I move that one up to there, then it'll use this S instead. So for example, if I make that bold and make this one italic, and then try an S, so if I do that and then do an S, so what we've got there is that one went wrong, so I'll try it again. So I try and do the S. It's still not worked. Okay, so third time lucky. It's the first bit was, the first chevrons were italic, so we get italic. The second chevrons were in bold, so we get bold. And the other thing you'll notice there is that the S here doesn't have any attribute. It's not underlined or coloured or highlighted. And so what happens is that the whole of the quoted text is attached to, if you like, to the bubble, as opposed to what we had before, where we attached the bubble just to the first character, and you could see that the attribute was applied to the rest of the text in that line there. Right, I think that's just about all of the facilities that I wanted to demonstrate on there. If we look at the macro itself, then at the beginning of the macro you've got the idea that you can add a prefix. So if I move that down, so now it says prefix is PB, and we've also got the possibility of adding line numbers and page numbers. We had those in the other macro, the copier macro. If I make those into true, then if I add a comment here, so if I do that one, say LL, then what it's done here is added the prefix at the beginning of the comment and the line numbering, the page number and line number. The downside of this, of course, is that this is the current page number and line number of that comment, but if you add some text above this part of the text, or remove some text, then the line numbering and page numbering will no longer be correct because the whole thing's moved. So put those back to what we normally had them as. We don't want the prefix. And the other one you've got here is keep the pane open which is the comment. Oops, don't want that. The comment pane. So in other words, if I do it like that and I add a comment here, then this is the comment pane down here, and that's left open so that you can type in there if you want to, but that's slightly irrelevant in a way. Oh, well, it may be useful, in which case that facility is there for you. I think the only other thing it'd be worth saying is that I said that you might have several of one particular option because you might want to use different ones for different jobs, and in fact you can have a whole other set of options, and as long as there's a blank line, at least one blank line there, it will only use the first one it comes to. So if I take those out and put them in up here, then it will be this set of options that it uses, not the ones that I was using just now. Okay, so that's it. I hope that new system is useful. I'm going to be putting it into action in a job any minute now, and so it'll probably change a bit as we go along, but anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.